Good afternoon, everybody. And I just want to first start by thanking the Prebys Foundation and Grant for giving us this opportunity. It's really an amazing opportunity to be with all of you, as Grant said, to hope for a better future, not just for San Diego, but for the country and the world. And we hope that we are going to contribute some part of that today. I'm the CEO of U3 Advisors, as Major said, and with me, my colleague, Alex Feldman. And today we want to talk about returning civic to the center of San Diego. I start with the word civic because I think it actually very much at the heart of what we are trying to talk about. And that is how can we reinterpret the word civic in a way that actually can be much more meaningful to all of us in the future. When you mention the word civic, what comes to mind maybe is a class of children at school talking about citizenry and how to become productive citizens in their society. You can maybe imagine a picture of municipal buildings and City Hall behind you that can talk about the issues of the affairs of a city and the decisions that are made. You can also think also about public spaces and what it means to bring people together and to engage with the citizenry of a city. It's places like these that we actually are fond of, whether here in America or abroad. But the reality is that when we talk about our heart of the city, that's not what the image that we see today. The Civic Center today sits at the heart of our downtown, but contributing very little to all of those meaning and ideals about civicness that I talked about. San Diego Civic Center, as is today, is 6 city blocks owned by the city in the literal heart of downtown. It's a patchwork, if that is said nicely, disconnected, a monotonous use, mostly concentrated during the day, brutal hardscape. We have seen concrete and we don't like it. And the whole place feels lifeless, especially after daytime. The buildings themselves are tired. You as citizens of the city are spending $2 million every year to operate these old buildings. And we have a backlog of $150 million just in the City Hall building, in the municipal buildings of backlog and code reinforcement and the like. But look at where these 14 acres are located. They are really located at the crossroads of culture and civic assets, between the Bayfront, Balboa Park, Little Italy, East Village. These are amazing assets. We are sitting at this intersection of culture, trade. We are at the border with an amazing a fusion of two cultures coming together. We are we actually are today at UCSD, a major center for learning and discovery. We deserve better than what we saw in the Civic Center at the heart of our city. And everyone we talk to agree with that. And everyone wants to feel proud of the center of our city, to capture the love for the people and the place, which we today don't have. We are here today to talk about why the Civic Center looks like the way it does, and more importantly, how can it be imagined and reimagined? And the question of, is reimagining the Civic Center, in fact, an audacious idea? I would like to say, no, it's not an audacious idea. It's actually a very implementable idea. It's not that the idea has not been thought about many times before, but actually it is the will to bring us together to actually make the changes. And that's, I think, Grant, when you started the conference this morning, said that's what you saw in San Diego. It's the collective will to actually make positive changes in the world. And this is an example of that. The truth is that nothing happened in Civic Center location for now 65 years. Back in the days in 1960s, the citizens voted for for a new city hall and a new auditorium and civic and a convention center. At the time, it was $15 million. In today's dollars, it's $150 million of investment that actually came out of public funding to create the constellation of buildings that we see today. At the time, the Civic Center was very emblematic of how city building approaches have been thought about. They were about systems and technology and the machinery. They were not about human beings. They were actually more about the order and the logic of building buildings. The way we design cities, we almost as if we design them with the left brain, with the left side of our brains. We design cities to actually follow a very scientific methodology rather than actually touch us as human beings. What do I mean by that? I want to actually nest the idea of our downtown in the long arc of history of cities, not just in America, but in the world. In the grand scheme of things, we as a country are a young country. We are, we are living in cities for now 200 plus years, and the birthday is coming up soon. And the fact is that many cultures and many parts of the world have been living in cities for thousands of years. So we are just in the beginning of understanding what it means to live in cities. San Diego was designed as a city, not in any different way than many other cities in America. It didn't follow the same conventions as cities in Europe, the Middle East, or in Asia. We were not constrained by geography. We had plenty of land. We were not dominated by one single culture. The old world had a reason why, when you think of why Rome looks the way it does, why Paris looks the way it does, because of many factors that actually traverse throughout the history of those places and the people. But here, wave after wave of new settlers, new immigrants, came in to actually challenge those old metaphors of how to build cities. In many ways, the cities that were built in the old world, the new world wanted to build something very different and not the same. In this new world we planned and constructed cities to create order. We looked down on what existed back in the chaos, what we considered the chaos of the old world. How did we do that? We unfortunately segregated people. We segregated people by race. We segregated people by income. We segregated people by age. We separated uses. And we built different building typologies. This side does this, and this side is industrial. That's 2 stories. This one I can do high rises. Everything seemed like a machine going through an algorithm to actually bring out an order. Every choice was studied. Every choice was planned. Numbers were crunched. Maps were drawn. Everything felt logical at the time. And we doubled down. We kept doubling down on this system of building buildings. Here is an image of the celebrated 20th century architect Louis Kahn, who actually rendered what his image of Philadelphia would be probably by the year 2000. And what you see actually is very clean lines. You see order, you see a definition of uses. It's almost like the supremacy of the technology and the machinery rather than the lifting up of people and human beings. This era of city building, defined by how much we valued efficiency and technology, continues to be everywhere today in us experiencing the cities across America that we go to and we live in. We are living in the choices that were made back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. What we have lost over the last century is the art of city building. Not the science, but the art of city building. In fact, we want to start working our right brain into the equation of city building. Before we go any further, it's worth interrogating the question, are cities any more relevant? Are downtowns any more relevant? In one podcast with Grant about 2 or 3 months ago, I said people in London or in Paris, nobody questions whether London or Paris will be relevant to the UK or to France, because there is such a deep sense about the importance of the city. We need to actually also have this security that cities are here to stay, and cities are important in the long arc of America. They are relevant because they are, as we grow as regions, as we grow as cities, as we need the centers of these cities to meet the needs of many people as much as we can to get them to thrive. To demonstrate that relevance of what cities mean for us today, and make sure that this view endures rather than be a flash, we need to actually bring back the idea that the heart of the city is really what brings the civic back to the city life. We want cities and centers of cities not to be crafted exclusively for tourists or conference goers or government employees or weekend shoppers, but deliberately and unapologetically meant to be a place for everyone who lives, works, and dreams in San Diego. We want cities for us, not to show tourists what they look like. Return to a sense of what is truly civic to the center of San Diego. That means making downtowns a place of production, not just consumption. It means making it a place that is relevant to everyone from age 8 to 80, not just for those between 30 and 50 going to their jobs and leaving after work. A place of learning, thinking, and creativity, not a place of passively following order. A place of engagement, not separation. A place of serendipity, curiosity, and surprise, not a place of order and rigidity. Many other cities like Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, where I am from, have already begun this shift. Let's together discover how we can do this here in San Diego. This was the mandate that was given to us about a year or so ago, is to inject a sense of what is truly civic back into the center. And it wouldn't do for us to make a one-time infusion of civic life. What we have here is the opportunity to make this place where the daily activities of San Diegans happen. In a way, think of it, this is the stage, that's the theater, where actually all of the life of San Diego is on stage to be seen, to be engaged, to be experienced by everybody. Alex will talk to you about the specific vision, and I will come back at the end to conclude. Thank you.
Omar. So to develop this vision, we didn't start with architecture. We started by listening. Mayor Gloria's Civic Center Revitalization Committee, which started in 2023, gave us a great foundation, and we reviewed many of the conversations and discussions that happened around this area and that have continued to happen around this area for many years. We spent 9 additional months listening to a whole host of stakeholders and civic leaders and citizens about their ideas for City Hall, or the Civic Center. The working group's report and additional input made it very clear to us that San Diegans essentially have 4 priorities for the Civic Center. The first of those priorities is to integrate arts, culture, and education into the Civic Center. We heard about the importance of keeping Broadway shows downtown and infusing the site with activity outside of those different performances. We also learned that San Diego Community College District is interested in bringing more programs and resources, cultural resources downtown, and there may be other institutional partners as well that could join them. Our vision calls for new learning spaces, performing arts venues, and partnerships that will transform San Diego's cultural identity into a vibrant center and economic engine. This includes a new collaborative model for culture and education with 60,000 square feet dedicated, at least 60,000 square feet dedicated to instruction, arts, community use, and more than 200,000 square feet for performing arts. By focusing on arts, culture, and education, we are infusing the Civic Center with activity from students to faculty to teachers to artists buzzing across this cultural campus. The second is a mix of purposeful housing. We heard from almost everyone that we spoke with about the critical need for more housing in the San Diego area, and that housing must be attainable to all San Diegans. We believe that the site could accommodate approximately 3,000 new housing units for San Diegans, with at least 15% of them designated affordable. Our vision includes a mix of housing, from deeply affordable to workforce to market rate, and we have to make sure that teachers, artists, students, families, first responders, the young, the old, have a place to call downtown, or can call downtown home. This housing, in turn, will add vibrancy in the form of new residents to the Civic Center and bring more demand for all kinds of supporting uses, from retail to grocery stores, shops, restaurants, etc. The third is an iconic world-class public space for the people of San Diego. The current Civic Center's public space is anything but engaging, as we saw earlier. It became clear to us after walking through the site many, many times and also talking to many different San Diegans that really the downtown core lacks a great place that people care about and want to celebrate in. Our vision includes a new 3-acre plaza that will be San Diego's living room, a true crossroads of downtown and programmed year-round with concerts, night markets, events, and civic celebrations with proper levels of care that will ensure that the place is safe and clean and well maintained. This will be a place that locals will flock to and tourists will envy. And by doing this, we want to remove the blank walls and dead ends that currently hamper the Civic Center, reconnecting it to downtown, and even more importantly, reconnecting the downtown between the Bayfront and Balboa Park. So this feeds into our fourth priority, which is to ensure that the core of downtown becomes a true neighborhood for all, adding vibrancy and connectivity to the series of 7 neighborhoods that make up downtown. By focusing on active ground floor uses and neighborhood serving needs, we can ensure that the Civic Center is not just a destination, but a place that actually people want to stay in. Child care centers, dog parks, groceries, supporting retail, that will convert this Monday through Friday place, government zone, into a place that really hums with activity from day to midnight. So you're probably thinking housing, performing arts, education, retail, public spaces. None of these are necessarily revolutionary on their own. In fact, you could say that these are actually critical ingredients to any great city. In fact, they're pretty obvious choices. But what sets our vision apart is the curation and how they come together. How much of each of these is included, what specifically each use is meant to contribute as a part of the whole, and how they work together to become something more than the sum of their parts. We talked earlier about why the Civic Center and many other mid-century designs failed to infuse life into the heart of the city. So our vision includes an approach to planning the site that brings together these uses in an integrated way, opening up the site to the city, infusing housing and retail, and anchoring the Civic Center with new mixed-use, multi-tenant cultural and educational hub connected by a dynamic public space. So you're probably thinking, what does this look like? We've shown you a lot of pictures of pretty places from all over the world. So keep in mind, this is a direction and a long-term vision. It's not a design. But here are a few ways that this could look ultimately. So imagine the site transformed from uninviting and disconnected to welcoming, vibrant, and diverse. Imagine walking up 2nd Avenue from Broadway and being greeted by this new civic heart. Imagine the site transformed from inactive, underutilized, to active and inclusive. Imagine this once dead Civic Center Plaza infused with activity from a new cultural hub, complete with theaters and education and exhibition space, serving residents from across the San Diego region and creating a true downtown heart. Altogether, this civic vision transforms the Civic Center from a seat of government to the heart of civic and cultural life, with the potential for 3,000 new units of housing, a 3-acre public space, and more than 300,000 square feet dedicated to performance, education, arts, and culture. And here's a diagram of what it could look like. This vision is flexible by design, which will allow us to remain entirely adaptive and responsive to local government's needs throughout the implementation phases. City Hall operations will remain in the current buildings during the early phases over time, City Hall could gradually move or be consolidated into future buildings. City Hall could also remain in its current location with reinvestment into its existing buildings. Again, this is all based on government need. So some of you may be saying there have been plans upon plans for Civic Center. All of them have been the result of lots of hard work by lots of very smart people, some of whom may be sitting in this room right now. And we know this because we've read them and talked with them. So how is this going to be different? Well, for one thing, we're getting started right away. We're making plans with our partners to start as early as this fall for an effort to activate the Civic Center so that people who may not have been there in years or ever can actually rediscover it and spend time there and see the possibilities for that site. Imagine food vendors, pop-up retail, new street furniture, performances, bringing life to the Civic Center, serving the dedicated government employees who work there every day, and the visitors arriving for a performance at the Civic Theater. When it comes to the larger development phases, it will take a phased approach so that momentum can build on itself. So taking in some of the strategic phases, for example, taking this in some strategic phases allows us to stay flexible and adjust as we move forward. So for example, repositioning the current Golden Hall site, which you can see up there in purple, as a new home for a cultural hub, could perhaps allow Broadway performances to remain in the Civic Theater while a new theater is built on that site. We're also exploring the possibility of establishing a new special purpose entity that could help guide the Civic Center's future, potentially taking on roles related to fundraising, real estate development, partner recruitment, and placemaking. A structure like this has worked in other cities, and it can also ease the burden on local government while allowing partners to respond more efficiently to evolving market dynamics and civic needs. Essentially, we feel that someone needs to wake up every single day thinking about how to create new civic value on the site and how they can use that value to create more great things that happen there. So it will take a coalition of partners to make this vision a reality. And so to that end, we are thrilled that the Downtown San Diego Partnership will be stewarding this plan forward in the near term. I'll turn it over to Omar to close it out.
Thank you, Alex. Every time I actually think about what the opportunity here is, I try to imagine what it may look like in 2040. Hopefully I'm still alive by then. But I see, if in fact our vision, our collective vision, our not meaning as you three, but our collective vision comes to fruition, I can see a group of students in the School of Arts working with the theater director to actually put on a public performance in the public space. I can actually see and imagine public officials using the public space and using the auditorium for meetings with their constituents. I can finally visualize the Christmas tree or Hanukkah menorah getting lit in a plaza, actually at the center of our city. I can even hear the San Diegans celebrating the Padres winning the World Series. Hopefully before 2040, but maybe not. I can visualize 10,000 residents steaming in and out of that place and actually calling it home and making it the neighborhood of the entire city. Downtowns, in our opinion, have a unique role to play in the future of any city. When you really think about it, it's the only place where we meet people who are different from who we are. Otherwise, we are in our enclaves, and we are actually interacting with people like us. So downtowns are so critical in that respect as we move forward. So instead of thinking of downtowns like containers of uses, let's think of them as catalysts where civic life can regenerate and replenish itself. Downtowns are where we prove tangibly that a diverse, democratic, and dynamic society can still function in public together. We need this now so much. I want to end with a quote from my mentor, the famous landscape architect and planner, Laurie Olin. He once said, "In America, we build public spaces for tourists and no one shows up. In Europe, they build public spaces for the neighborhoods, for the people, for the population, and all tourists from around the world show up to actually watch that." So let's actually build the heart of San Diego for San Diegans. Let's not build them for the tourists. Let's affirm our sense of belonging to the place and to the people. And let's actually make this a call to action that we collectively can curate a better future for San Diego and for the heart of our city. Thank you so much.